turn on another piece of film somewhere, I hope.
Speaking of that, you mentioned a script you were working on?
A friend of mine is a writer, published writer. He's got a whole series of books he's selling on Amazon. Detective novels. In fact, I did some readings for him where I played the lead detective, and it's cassettes that you put in your car and listen to stories, you know, the storybook thing.
Right, yeah.
It's a really interesting script that is very much like the Norman Jewison movie of the late 80s or 90s called The Russians Are Coming, starring Alan Arkin. It's about a small fishing village along the coastline of Oregon that's having its problems staying alive, and a reporter who's ex-Desert Storm, and he's kind of just used to work for the Oregon newspaper, and now he's just kind of burned out, and so he starts roaming around, and he stops in this little town, meets some locals, and they talk and things, and they hear the stories, and even the Indians don't do their rituals anymore like they used to, so after about 6 beers or 8, they decide to create a Loch Ness monster out of using an old moose head with no horns, and they wrap it, and he builds a contraption so he can, you know, like the grabber when you're old timer, you got the
Right, yeah.
Well, the grabber is in the neck so that the head kind of whatchamacallits. And these guys are ex-Navy SEAL anyway. They're friends, so they, you know, they're scuba dive. They know.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, the beers spur them on, and they go and they launch the Loch Ness monster in the bay of this little town. And the mayor of the city is the corrupt one. He's been stealing all the timber and all the land from the Indians and telling them this and that and the other, so they move further and further away. And now the Loch Ness monster is there, and all of a sudden somebody gets wind of it, and before you know what happens, there's TV trucks by the hundreds there, and they're building motels, and they're building restaurants, and the mayor he's trying he goes out with a rifle and his buddy and tries to kill the Loch Ness monster, because he doesn't want all these people moving in on the land, and he's trying to steal from everybody.
Right.
And then the people that have perpetrated the trick in their group, one gal says, "You know, you're wrong. You're going to have to tell these people this is all a lie. You're leading them down a rosy path that has no end to it." Ah, come on, we're just having some fun. By then, the Coast Guard is involved, and the Army Corps of Engineers are involved, and they figure, well, we'll just build a dam across the head of the bay, and we can catch this monster in the bay. It's getting further and further outrageous. Finally, they give in and they disclose what happened. But now, the legend is set. And people come from hundreds and thousands of miles away to view where the monster was last seen. Like Nessie, the Loch Ness monster. No one's ever seen this monster, but now they got people out exploring and boats that sonar and and it's a cute story. It's fun because it sees the gullibility of everybody, but the end result is it brings back the life to this little city, and it gives life back to the Indian tribes that were there, that were dying, and you know, and now they can do their rituals, and the guests come and they throw coins in the cup, in essence, now. And it revitalizes this area. It's a very uplifting little script. It really is cute. But it doesn't have any violence, no bloodletting, no heads exploding and eyeballs splattering on the screen and rape, and it has none of that. And so
none of the good stuff.
Nobody wants to invest when they're trying to say, well, why don't you have the Loch Ness monster raping one of the local women?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I'm reluctant, you know. I think after 30 or 35 years in the business, and where they say, no, you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm an actor, why can't I do it? Well, you have a bald head. Well, give me 30 days, what's there will grow back.
You'll have a fuzzy head.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you're not tall enough. Well, that's simply done with. Put me on a 6-inch or a 12-inch apple. We go from there, you know. Or dig a pit like they used to do for what's his face, Alan Ladd, when he's working with Sophia Loren. And he's just about tall enough to put his nose between her titties. That's why they had to build a trench for her to walk in the trench so he could walk. They had seats together. Yeah, it's a known fact. That's what happened. Because he was a little tiny. I mean, he couldn't have been more than 5'4" or 5. Alan Ladd with his big voice, and it, and it was ridiculous. He'd get in a fight scene, and throw a couple of punches, and the bad guy go down. Alan Ladd put his hands on his,
And he was standing in a box.
So it gets to you after a while, and you get so many rejection notice. Every time you go out, rejections from every different level. That after 40 years you fought against it, and then it lays there like an abscess. And it rears its ugly head at the wrong times, when you should just pick up and do like you used to do, and strike out if you have to, or hit it if you have to. And don't worry about it, but screw it. I don't chase the rabbit anymore. I just don't feel like chasing a rabbit. I'll feed the rabbit if he comes to me, but I'm not going to chase him.
But this one you may...
I'm holding it.
Yeah.
And, usually the right timing will come and let itself be known to you, and you can lay it out then. So, we'll see.
Very cool.
We'll see. We'll see.
I like to end my interviews with giving the interviewee the opportunity to tell them tell their fans and my audience something weird and wonderful about themselves, or something they've done, or Since my main site is the Weird Review.
Weird Review. Weird.
Interesting anecdotes you'd like to share?
I picked my nose. My dear friend, she thinks that's obscene.
I never picked my nose. I got stuck with the one I got with.
Demands that I go immediately and wash my hands. Weird.
Alrighty.
I'm so absolutely, unbelievably.
You've given a number of interesting stories already, so we can just close with that.
Oh, thank you.
And with that, thank you so much, Don. It's been a pleasure. And from from Youngstown, Ohio, and this has been the Weird Review. Thank you, sir.
Weird.